Hello and welcome back to the Invest podcast, the podcast about investing in yourself, your community, loved ones around you to improve your life. It's your hosts now, Isaac and Jack. We're back for the second episode.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I thought the first one we tried things, we just had a chat, and now with the feedback and things we've gotten from everyone out there, we appreciate. Sort of cultivated our skills a bit. We're thinking of some topics and a bit more structured today and have a chat. So without further ado, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, well, today our theme is going to be on relationships, which is a bit of a broad one, but it's very important. Last week, what we covered, goal setting and a bit of everything. So we're going to try and stick on topic a bit more.
Yeah.
I know this is a bit of a work in progress. Everyone listening or watching right now is kind of along the journey with us trying out this podcast thing because, I feel like, hopefully we can improve from last week and then again next week. So we're just going to keep trying to get better. And speaking of anyone watching the video, we are doing it in person and the faces signs are cutting out a bit because we're trying Zoom and we're giving it a go. So just, enjoy that. It'll be, it's all right. But we'll definitely recommend the audio version, which is on Spotify. So if you can listen there too. So before we get into the topic of relationships, we should start with what we did this week, right? Something new or a lesson or something. You start us off. You're always good. You put me to shame with these ones. So
Nah, not at all. So Jack and I like to talk about something we've tried this week, and we live by our own cases, right? We live what we preach. So mine is the paperback diary. Now it seems a bit archaic, but I've got it in the video version if anyone's
it's cutting
watching.
through.
Exactly, it's cutting out a bit, but that's all right. I think I've always been sort of a person that sort of lives by the week to week. Not that I'm disorganized, but I don't write things down often. I do use Google Calendar occasionally, but I've kind of found that when I have something, I'll try and remember it, and it's usually worked for me. But as I take on more and more responsibility, even today we're talking about relationships, you've got to manage relationships with your time as well. I found I need to find something, and this year I've decided to try the paperback diary. And I guess I haven't used it in the traditional sense of writing down dates in the future or things like that. I've written down day to day, the more micro stuff I've got to get done. And each of the day, at the end of each day,
the page is looking a bit empty, mate. You've been
I've gone to the
correct
day.
That was the future, mate.
That was the future. Gone into the future. But I've written just a small reflection each day, like a line of the things I got done. Just literally a sentence or two, just in reflection of what I've done and was I happy with what I got done. And really, I felt that this is more of a reflective process, so I can look back and say, well, I got this done for the day more so than perhaps aligning the day in one way.
Right. So I guess like on initially like ostensibly it's like, okay, just to track what you're doing the day, I got this at 3 p.m., 4 p.m. But then now it's kind of allowed you to, or it's facilitated this like reflection process. I guess you're quite a reflective person anyway, but maybe having it as a physical reminder kind of makes you more likely to do that, or by the sounds of it, you're doing it heaps now, just reflecting your day and stuff like that. So I think that's a good thing that you've done. And I think it's really good because oftentimes we will forget to do stuff that we want to, like let's say we want to reflect on the day or be grateful, but you need a reminder, you need to decrease resistance. And one of those resistances can be just forgetting about it.
Yeah.
100%. So it's good that you have that reminder. And mate, you're getting a bit older now. You got a physical diary. I
know it does feel like that. It does feel like a classic. Come on, Boomer, what are you doing? Like,
okay, Boomer.
You shout out to Yorgs and Jimmy, who are our mentors of ours.
You can't bring them up after saying Boomer.
That's true.
That's a violation.
It is a bit of a violation, but no, they've always used it, and I thought, I'll try it. And I guess I've always known what I need to do during the day. It's not, as I said, a guide to say I have to do this at this time. And I know there are people out there, and if that's the productivity that works for you, that's great. But life's pretty dynamic, so it's more to make sure in reflection, did I get everything I wanted to get done today? And maybe I can write a reminder tomorrow. Look, Isaac, check over this paper you've got to read, or look over this topic you've got to study, more so than I need to get this and this done during the day, because usually I just keep rolling. And
I remember last year you were telling me about, because we're both like tutors and we have clients and sessions and stuff, and you would just remember them in your head. And I'm like, how? Because I got to have I got a Outlook synced across this and that. I got a system, because I'll forget, So I mean, I don't know how many sessions you've.
It's I'm pretty fortunate that like when I don't have heaps of students like I once did, but even remembering like things I have, but it's unnecessary, right? You can always outsource, right? There's things we can do ourselves, but why? And this is probably a little conduit to get to a place where I can rely more on maybe Google Calendar and the paperback, and use that as my system,
Wow.
so to speak.
Yeah.
But,
No, it's good.
no, over to you, Jack. What's
Oh,
your thing of the week?
well, mine's not as interesting. It was literally just I thought, what have I really done? And this week I've been trying to sort out some kind of small home gym setup.
Cool.
Not like anything crazy, but just like some plates, racks, weights, just like it's a foundation. We can do 90% of your exercise, which in terms of resistance training is essentially your compound lifts, right? So I've been doing that, and obviously it's expensive, it adds up, and it got me thinking about what is the point of like money in the sense of like what should you be using it for and what should you not be using it for. And I feel like as I was buying this stuff, I felt like this is such a great use of my money. I just felt instinctually that like this is great, I'm glad I'm doing this, it's going to be worth it in the long run. And I was thinking like what we should try and do is just maximize our spending on the things that are positive and going to help our lives, and minimize on the things that are going to take away. So for example, you get your gym equipment, maybe you're buying this diary, maybe even like a subscription service to something that's just going to make your life easier, or will allow you to focus energy on the things that you do really well and not worry about all the mundane stuff in the back end, whatever you're paying for, whatever it is. And then minimizing the negative things, like maybe you're buying certain clothes or jewelry or something just to show off, not because you actually need it. Or maybe you're buying a lot of alcohol or things that aren't really going to help your health long term. So just as an example. So that was my little lesson. All I was doing is just sorting out the gym equipment. I thought, you know what, like it's expensive, but what a great use of money. And, why not just like have that perspective on money and just like use it as a tool to do things to help your life, not take away.
100%.
So that was all it was.
I think on that, like a whole principle is invest in yourself. And what does investing in yourself mean? I think this is one of the best. This is like the most like easy metric to say is I'm objectively going to spend this amount of money to do something that right now, I could just I do have a gym membership, or I could get a gym membership, but maybe in the long term, having my own setup puts me in control and actually will cause me to be more accountable because I'm paid for this. I've got to use it.
Well, you have to now, right?
And the barrier to entry is like you're walking to the next, like in your own house.
Less resistance, right? Exactly. So just like with a diary, it's just easier. You just write in there. There's less resistance in the way, and we already have so much, in life and barriers and things. So just got to remove all that.
Exactly right.
In the morning, like talking about the gym in the morning, I get dressed into gym clothes, even if I'm not going, just because that's a routine, and that way I'm just out the door. Or in this case, I'm through the door in the gym setup. Hopefully soon. So
I think that feeds well from last week. We talked about goal setting and New Year's resolutions, and probably one of the biggest is to get fitter and like physical health. Right? It's always
it underpins everything.
Exactly, and I think what Jack just said there is let's decrease the barriers. That's a huge part of working out, going for runs, anything like that. It's just putting it on. All right, I kind of feel like getting active now. I'm in my sneakers and things like that, and having the home gym set up. I think also it is an initial cost, but long term you're going to use it and really enjoy using it. You can have your friends over, right? They don't have to swipe in, to the QR code.
No, you just write in there. And you know what? The last thing about the resistance thing, because we should move on to the theme, because last time I was the one who went on and on. So I want to try and bring it back. But yeah, like you can look at it two ways. You can either increase motivation or decrease resistance when it comes to these things. So sometimes there's only so much motivation you can have. Like you're not always going to wake up feeling great all the time, or as a person, sometimes you may not be as motivated. Maybe you're stressed with something else. Anyway, the point is, sometimes there's only so much motivation you can increase. So why not, on the other side, decrease the resistance to help in that way? So I feel like that's like another way of looking at it, on why I want to do it that way. But anyway, we digress. 100%. Let's get into the topic, which I'm moving on to quickly because this is like my favorite topic of all time, which is relationships.
Underpins human existence in a way.
Yeah.
I know it's a huge statement, but it is.
Are you a doctor or a philosopher, man? I don't know which one you are at this point.
You had the Stoics last week, so
true. I've been reading a lot of Stoicism stuff, but it's a bit cliche. But anyway, relationships. I mean, it is so important. I think, as you said, underpins everything. And what I think really got me going about this, honestly, like a good 4 or 5 years ago, there was this Harvard study, probably one of the most famous studies of all time, to be honest. I just mentioned it briefly before we started, and you knew it straight away. It's this like longitudinal relationship and happiness study that Harvard conducted many, many years ago. It started in 1938, so during the Great Depression. So what a happy time that was. And it went on for 80 years. And I'm just going to cut to the chase. If someone wants to look up into it, just Google Harvard relationship study. There's a TED talk on it. It's got like 12 million views, and it's by Robert Waldinger, if that's correct. Anyway, to cut to the chase, the main outcome of the study on improving happiness and having healthy lives was the quality of their relationships. That was the number one factor in terms of your happiness and longevity of your life. So, I mean, that's just, I mean, everyone knows you're going to have good relationships, but I think when people see proof that that is the case, it's not just like this idea, like a philosophical thing. Now it's scientific fact. I feel like people need to get their ass in gear and improve their relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. I think quality is something that we always associate with, like, what's the quality of your camera? What's the quality of this?
Yeah.
And when you put it into the relationship, you think, what does that mean? So maybe we'll just touch on that. What is a quality relationship, and what's our experience of quality? So I'll go with you first.
No, for sure. And I like the way you compared it to like physical things, because we're constantly trying to optimize our life. Like we want to buy the new iPhone because it's faster. Yeah. We want to be better in this way, whatever, faster car, whatever it may be. It's like, what about your relationships? Why aren't you spending time improving that? But anyway, when in terms of the relationship side of things, for me, what makes a good relationship? I think one where it's mutually valuable, like both people are getting what they want out of the relationship. And I constantly ask myself, what am I giving and what am I receiving in this relationship? Whether it's with a significant other, like a romantic relationship, like, like us, like friends or professional, professional life or whatever it may be. What is going on? What's the value exchange? And I'm not saying live life in this sense of like, it's tit for tat, like you have to owe people things or vice versa. It's just an overall sense of like, what are you bringing and how are you positive? How is this relationship a positive thing in your life and their life? So that's how I see it being a quality relationship. What is involved in that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that sort of feeds into that it's not necessarily the time as your barometer, right? You didn't say time there. And I think that's really important. People didn't say the amount of time. Like some people associate, if I spend 4 hours with a person, that's quality time.
Yeah.
But you can be on your phone the whole 4 hours, right?
Of course. Yeah.
So you spend time with them, but you didn't necessarily immerse yourself in that exchange of like, how are you doing? Not what are you doing? How are you doing? Right? Like, checking up on that person, actually caring about where are they going? What are they doing? And that works both ways, right? And having that conversation where you bounce off each other and sort of delve into those topics. And Jack and I, to use ourselves as case study, we don't live in the same state the whole year, but Jack and I will call each other once a week. And that's part of our relationship, right? Is a phone call. And some people will be like, oh, is that really quality time? But what we talk about,
it's quality to me, mate.
Exactly right. Yeah. It's not that we call each other for an hour. It's maybe 15 minutes
just
tops.
to check in.
Yeah, just to check in. But that's a quality part of relationship for me. And I think the term positive relationships is used a lot more. And I think for me, a positive relationship is one that's quality and that it doesn't feel like, laborious to spend time with that person, right? Yeah. I think a lot of people and millennials always get the knock for it is, well, you're just hanging out with people for the sake of it, right?
Yeah.
You're just saying, oh, because we went to school together or because of that. Yeah. Is that really the quality, right? Always bringing back, is this quality?
Yeah. Quality over quantity.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so true. Like, there's no point having many, many friends that aren't really there for you or will, actively care. Like you were saying, like really checking in how you've been, actively listening, really care. Like, a lot of people just don't give a shit. They just don't really care that much. And that's okay. Sometimes it's all right to have certain relationships that may only be good for certain things. Like maybe, the gym you go at, there's someone that you train with sometimes and you don't see each other outside of that or whatever. But it's that quality time that you guys are, or girls or whoever are having in that space. And that's great. So I'm not saying you need to have like these people that are just like super supportive and amazing around you, which is ideal. It's okay to have relationships that aren't as optimal or positive in your life, but it's important to place value and time and effort into those which actually help you and actually people that are there for you, because at the end of the day, you need a tribe, you need people who can support you and people that you can support as well, because helping is such a crucial part of being happy, helping others. Absolutely. So you need people who you want to help as well. Yeah. So it's a very it's a cycle really of just positive well-being.
Yeah. And like along with that, Jack and I, maybe at a later time, we'll talk about mentorships and relationships with.
That's a unique relationship.
Yeah, that's a very unique. Maybe we can delve into that. But maybe I'll pause from the quality of relationship and talk about something that, when you say relationships, what do I think of? And I think of what are the barriers to a good relationship. And I looked at this thing. It was called the horsemen of relationships. So things that in most relationships cause a breakdown and or cause a lack of progression or maybe detracts from that quality. And the first thing is criticism. So I think criticism is the feedback you give to someone else. Like, Jack, look, you haven't been replying to my messages in like a few days.
Look, I'm not going to say if that's true or not. We'll just leave it up to the interpretation.
Jack's great with that. So
yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, but like things like that, right? Acknowledging, and I think acknowledging a lot of these and saying they are going to be part of, relationship. It has to be. There has to be a critical part of it, right? There has to be. Look, we're not doing this great, or something like that, or could we adjust this? The next is contempt. So I guess you're being contempt is sort of going against someone's actions or what they've done.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's one, acknowledging that perhaps in a relationship, sometimes people will do things that you find that hurt you, or find that, okay, it's perhaps not, it's not as kind as they could be. Right. And that's part of it, right? Everyone has those moments where perhaps you say things you don't want to say, or make, do something, but it's the ability to acknowledge that will happen. And how do we sort of work it out after? Then defensiveness. So this is kind of that victim mentality of someone gives you the feedback or does something to hurt you, and you're just like, keep bringing it up.
Yeah.
And then that's a real detractor. I know
it's like, but something happens, like you forget to put your undies in the laundry, and it's like, this was like that time 12 years ago when you tripped me over. I'm like, hang on.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, exactly. It keeps coming up. You just keep defending, like, having that defensiveness of, well, you did this, so I did that. And I think that's a real horseman that people have to acknowledge that, all right, when the other person is doing that, you need to be like, okay, look, I'm not, you're bringing up that incident over and over again, but it doesn't make sense or doesn't need to be brought up. And the next one is stonewalling, which is basically avoiding conflict altogether. And I think that detracts from a quality relationship. It doesn't always have to be the sunshine and rainbows, the happiness, wow, like you did so well, or you supported me so well.
You're looking great today. Man. Yeah, shorts are looking tight.
I know they are. I'm in the summer move. But it doesn't always have. Yeah, it doesn't always have to be the positive thing.
Yeah, normal.
You can't avoid the conflict. Like if something is wrong, you have to have that. They know how to bring it up. So those were the four things. So it was criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and that stonewalling. I think they're the four things that cause a lot of relationship challenges and perhaps even break down later down the track.
What a great framework.
Yeah, well,
that's so good.
Well, acknowledging that they exist, right? You're going into a relationship, whether that's romantic, work related, professional rather, mentorship, whatever it might be, and then there will be breakdowns. There will be miscommunications, things like that. So I think you actually said this to me, Jack. Like open communication is really one of the big things in the toolkit to sort of combat these things. So
no, for sure.
What is open communication? We'll do a quick change up a topic on that. I don't know if that's going too off topic.
No, it's good, because relationships, I think what underpins that is trust and communication. I always see it as those two things. And you need to be open, because you can't be judgmental. Like I think, because I'm reading a lot of Stoicism, they always say, not to judge others for their actions, because they are living their life through the same inner voice that you have, and they're doing what they think is right. So, have pity on those who make poor decisions, because they've been misguided rather.
Yeah.
So anyway, going back to this, you need to communicate openly and honestly and non-judgmentally, because you need to hear that person out, because that's how you want to be heard when it's your turn to talk, or maybe you're talking about a situation or whatever. So you have to communicate openly, and you need to communicate clearly. And this is the most important thing, I believe, from this whole episode, and why I want to talk about relationships. The reason why you have to communicate clearly is because you need to set appropriate expectations. That is the reason why people argue and have issues and have animosity, is because they don't have expectations set in the same way. It doesn't mean you need to view things the same constantly, but you need to have a similar value system. Have similar decision-making skills, communication skills. Your expectations need to be the same. Think about any argument you've ever had with anyone, particularly in a romantic relationship. It can always source back to a mismatch of expectations. And that's why you have to communicate clearly to set them, because then once the expectations are clear and both people on the same page, it's very hard to, go off track in that sense. And if something does happen, you both expect how to deal with it, and you both have the appropriate skills and have the right approach to deal with that situation. So expectations, everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you have the right expectations, then giving that criticism or feedback when it does come up, it's quite easy to do, because you're going back to that core principle. If you are afraid of that stonewalling, like for me personally, I don't shy away from conflict, but don't necessarily, enjoy
Mm.
going through it. But if I understand that the expectation was there, then I'm happy to bring it up because it was clear.
Yeah.
Right. And let's say, for instance, it's like even something as meaningless as dinner plans. Like, if I'm wearing tracksuit and t-shirt,
Classic.
the expectation.
Oh my God. The amount of times I've seen a girl wearing like heels and a dress and she's looking great, whatever, and there's some random Donnie Walker with her. I'm like, are you her cousin or her boyfriend? How does this happen?
Exactly.
He must be so funny or be really good at a particular activity. It's one or the other, because how does that happen?
Oh, that's must have a great personality, maybe. But
Probably.
yeah. But like the expectation of where we go for dinner, it's like,
yeah,
wait, but I thought we're going there, and then it's like bringing up the awkward, well, maybe we should go somewhere else or doing something like that.
Oh my God.
It's managing that conflict of, okay, we didn't meet the expectation, or perhaps I didn't know, or you didn't communicate the expectation clearly. Let's try and work towards something, or let's conflict resolve rather than put up like this thing where you're uncomfortable, like, oh, let's go to the same dinner place that is a bit nicer and I feel uncomfortable because I'm underdressed.
Yeah.
Let's work together and try and find a happy medium. So
you got to work together because at the end of the day, you're in the same boat. Like, people fail to recognize a relationship is a team. Like, it's not me and you, it's us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you can't view it in the mindset of like, I'm in this relationship and it's me, but it's you're in this relationship together.
Yeah,
so everything has to be done together in the sense of dealing with issues or even just like, stuff like managing those expectations where we got like, you have to consider both people. I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer, but I feel like unless you think about it or view it through that lens, it's very hard to remember that because in life we're so, everything's about ourselves because that's who we are, right? So we have to kind of let go of that when we're in a relationship and just kind of like see it as like a togetherness.
Absolutely. 100%. So I guess just to recap on, our main topic there, you talked about quality first of all, and I think quality of relationships, most people in the Harvard study, obviously,
you want to be happy.
Want to be happy, and it's quality. And then I went down the track of the horsemen, so the criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling, and then we basically took a little side note on the expectations, on expectations. So I think that was overall. Anything else you want to say on the topic of?
No, that's it. I mean, we could do a part 2. We could do a part 99 on so many on these things. Big. But yeah, I like, as I mentioned at the start, you have to think about what value you bring. What are you doing? People want to get into relationships, but they don't actually bring anything to the table, or vice versa, or people use others. It's just, there needs to be a mutual kind of expectation again. And people need to be just both happy in where they are. And particularly in romantic relationships, I feel like you have to offer something.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. Like, so many people in relationships and they judge the other person. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Really? Like, what do you bring that they can't get themselves?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's an important thing. And like, it's a fundamental thing about getting into it in the first place. But yeah, I mean, you got to improve yourself so you can bring more and have a better relationship. And based on that, and on the Harvard study, a better life.
Yeah. And I think what's so unique about talking about this topic is we acknowledge that we're not going to be experts at it, and being a relationship expert, I think there's very few.
I'm far from it, man. I've had my fair share of
and we're learning through talking about it and things we've tried and things that perhaps we're sort of reminding ourselves almost of we need to work on. So anyone listening, we of course wouldn't acknowledge that we're experts by any means, but we love to work on them because it's an active process of investing in your relationships like you would gym or whatever. So you study, work, you need to be able to invest in your relationships because they really do feed into everything. So that was a great second topic, Jack. I love that choice.
It was right. We're going to do many more on relationships and even like the mentorship. I know those special relationships are so important, and we'll keep going with that. And again, if anyone is listening and wants us to talk about a certain topic or has any ideas, feel free to contact us, send us a DM on Instagram or whatever. And this is it's me and you here right now on the podcast, but realistically it's for everyone listening to get involved and just put it out there and, see if we can help one person or we can create a discussion that will improve someone's life or make them happier. Then that's it. So
absolutely.
It was great. Yeah.
That's great. So just to plug everything towards the end, we're going to have this on YouTube and Spotify. So please give us a follow, like, whatever you please. And then we're also going to have an Instagram set up for the podcast. And then we have our personal Instagram. So mine's Isaac.invest and your Instagram.
Mine's just Jack Avro.
Yep. So we're going to have our own personal things. And we do sort of think that Spotify and YouTube will be mainly the best places.
The way to go.
Yeah, the way to go. And Spotify audio, obviously, it's great because you can listen on the walk, gym, whatever it may be. So
that's it.
Yeah, have a good week, everyone. And we'll be back again soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks for listening, guys.